Hey guys, what is up? Welcome back to the channel. As always, I have another golf ball review for you today. Continuing on with the Maxfli line, we are at our end finally. We've had some pretty good golf balls. We've had some okay ones. We've had some ones that definitely have a lot to improve on. But here we are at the Maxfli Tour X CG. So this is of course going to be the 4-piece golf ball of their Tour line. This golf ball initially I think is going to be for a little bit faster swingers even than the Tour, and I did have some issues with the Tour not compressing that well, so I gotta be honest with you, I'm a little nervous about this one. This one might be exclusively for fast swingers, but whether you're a fast swinger or a medium swinger or even a slow swinger, stick around because you definitely will learn at least something, I think, for sure. But let's go ahead and start out, of course, as we always do, with the design of the golf ball. So this has Maxfli's updated 2022 design with the amazing alignment tool on the side there. They've done that with all their golf balls, and it's really a success. I just love it. I hope they continue to improve on it. I love, their logo there with like the little nuclear sign. That's always really cool. I love how they do the Maxfli with that big circle. And then of course now this one has a red number you'll notice on top opposed to a black one. The black one is just the regular Tour. The red signifies that it is the X. So again, a very simplistic design, but I like it. They've really done a lot. Let's talk for a quick second about the pricing. Now, listen, just like I said with the Maxfli Tour, this has a really good potential to essentially be a great value because you can get these for $35 a dozen or 2 for $60. So coming in at a $30 a dozen price point for a Tour quality golf ball would be pretty huge, to be honest with you. I mean, that's even better than the Vice golf balls. Vice is running about $35, and even if you buy 5 dozen, I think that's up to $30.99 a dozen now. So even in bulk, this golf ball is going to beat the price of that. So with that being said, let's dive into these numbers and see what we got. But first, as always, let's go out to the chipping and putting green and see how we did out there. All right, so I don't have very much light left. I just beat the sun going down, but I had still just barely enough time to get some green testing done. And this one is with the Maxfli Tour X CG. And my first initial thought on this one was going to be, is it going to spin as much as the regular Tour? I felt I was going to be able to compress it a little bit better since it was softer, but that was not the case. This golf ball has a lot of checkup on it, a very good healthy amount. I don't know if it's that nice urethane coating or maybe it's just that extra layer since now you get the 4 layers opposed to 3. Maybe that's used for gripping the green a little bit more, but it's fantastic. It has a great amount of checkup. That ball will jolt right or left. There is not a lot of forgiveness per se, so if you have your club a little too closed or a little too open when you're hitting a cut or trying to get more loft on your chips, the ball's going to cut right a little bit. There's a lot of spin on it, so definitely something to be wary of. I would say it's definitely more of an advanced ball in that regard. Off the putter, again, I said it in my last Maxfli review, but you have to give massive credit here to what they've done because they've done the Titleist effect, which essentially, if you don't know what that is, it basically, when you use a Titleist golf ball, you can hit the Pro V1 and it'll feel pretty firm because it's a Tour golf ball. But when you're hitting it off the putter, it feels soft and buttery smooth, which is something really no other golf ball's done that I've tested so far. The Maxfli does that almost to the same degree, to be honest with you. Hitting the X, definitely it was firm off of the irons. It was definitely a harder golf ball, especially on mishits. But when you're hitting it off the putter, it is soft as butter. It is so good, and it just comes off the putter so nicely. Hitting it off the toe basically yields a slightly firmer press to let you know, and you'll kind of feel it in your hands just a tiny bit. But honestly, a really good experience around the green in that regard. Maxfli has outdone themselves with the around the green, especially for their Tour balls. I'm super impressed. All right, so pretty good numbers there. Like that, let's dive in now to the actual numbers here. Now this golf ball feels a lot firmer than its counterpart. The Tour definitely had like a medium feel to it. I mean, it definitely had some softness to it, but it definitely had some feedback. Yeah, I mean, I'll let the bar there kind of show you what I mean. That's about where I would have it. It's not super clicky. It's not super firm like the TP5X where if you mishit it, it's going to like shock your hands and you might drop the club. But it is very firm, it's very loud, and if you mishit it, it becomes very obnoxiously loud. And you definitely feel some sting. So it's definitely a firmer golf ball. It does make some click, but I will admit that when you hit it pure, it has an amazing feel to it, even though it does still make a slight click. When you're able to put this golf ball right in the sweet spot, honestly, it's amazing how fast it comes off. It just feels really good. But unfortunately, that's only if you hit it 100% square. Anything a little off here and there, you're going to feel it, you're going to hear it, which the feedback isn't necessarily a bad thing, but we'll have to see how the forgiveness tests out, because if you're someone like me who's not a perfect ball striker, you don't want to lose that much. So let's see how it did in that regard. So getting right into the 9-iron, let's start with it. 87.6, that's pretty low. It doesn't surprise me. We'll get to more of that in a second. 120 for your total distance, 112.1 for your carry distance. Very bad numbers there, unfortunately. 21.8, that's a mid-launch for a 9-iron. I'm not surprised these numbers are this low, just because when you get into the firmer golf balls, I've talked about it on my channel quite a bit, but when you get onto the firmer golf balls and you're a moderate swinger or even a slow swinger, your higher lofted clubs just don't compress the ball as well as your mid irons and your hybrids, your woods, driver, anything like that. It's just not going to compress it as much. Getting into the 7-iron, let's see if this kind of helped a little bit. Maybe it compressed a little better. We've got 6,850 on the spin. That is a lot of backspin. That is a lot of backspin, especially for a Tour X golf ball. I didn't think I would compress it that well, to be honest with you, but honestly, great number there starting off with. Sorry, I kind of had to do a double take there. 111.3 on the ball mile per hour speed. That is freaking fast, man. That is grease lightning. That is the Flash. Speedy Gonzalez, I mean, that is fast. I have never, up until that point, I think my record was 110 maybe. Really 110, and then before that, even 107. So, I've never hit in that 110 for an average range. Having 111.3, amazing ball speed. When you combine that with the 163.2, the 153.3, and even the higher, that's a 20.3 launch angle, that's actually high. So this golf ball not only carried more and traveled more distance, but it also spun enough to not only hold a green, but come back at me and launched high enough. So this is a golf ball that I could take my 7-iron with, go flag hunting. It's going to stop. It's going to bounce once or twice, and it's going to stop on a dime. That's a lot of spin, and that's a high launch angle. That number is just super impressive. If I had to give like a perfect scenario of what my 7-iron is even capable of, I can't imagine it getting much more better than that. That's awesome. Hopefully that continues, because that's amazing. Getting into the 5 hybrid, this is where things get weird. So first of all, 3,043 on your spin, which is abysmally low. So this golf ball with the hybrid, it's funny, with the 7-iron, it spun a ton. Now that we're into the hybrid, it doesn't really spin at all. This is a very low launching. You'll notice that also there with the 10.5. That's by far the lowest launch angle. And listen, sometimes I just kind of level off my swing with the hybrid. Other times, the ball just launches low, and I tried everything to get this golf ball in the air, but off the hybrid, it just wasn't getting in the air. It was very low the entire time. 10.5 is really all I could get out of it. That's an extremely low launch. It doesn't spin. The numbers as far as the distance are fine. 119.6 mile an hour ball speed is incredible. The distance numbers are right there with average, just because it's not getting in the air and it's not spinning, so it's low. This is going to be something you kind of have to hit low with a hybrid and let it run up on the green. I don't particularly like that. I like my hybrid shots to be a little higher, because I do want them to hit the green, at least try to stop. But this is one you would have to pretty much aim for a little bit before the green and let it run up. I just could not get it to spin. I could not get it in the air no matter how hard I tried. And then coming into the driver, so we have 2591, which is amazing for the spin. Very low spin off the driver, which is awesome. 240.2, 134.3, 219.8, 14.1. So again, a low launch, just kind of a low mid launch. And then honestly, those numbers are all pretty much right there with average. Really, I think the driver is going to benefit a little bit more from someone who swings really fast, but it actually still performed right there with the pack, so nothing wrong there. So those are pretty good numbers. So honestly, after looking at all those, just a quick thought before I get into the durability and then my closing thoughts. I would say that the ball did perform, I think, a little bit better than the Tour for me, which is really weird, because as a guy who's a moderate swinger, I would have guessed the Tour would have performed better. But I gotta be honest with you, there was moments I had a lot of fun testing this golf ball. Its ability to just spring off the club and get a ton of distance was phenomenal. Obviously, there's still some minor things to clean up here and there, but you just can't beat the value. So, honestly, that's really good. Let's get into the durability real quick. Let's see how that did. Now, if you look at this golf ball, you will see it's pretty dirty and it is pretty scuffed, but most of that actually is able to wash off. It has that thick urethane coating, and if I'm feeling around it, it does feel like most of it's still intact, so honestly, that's really good. And even the Golf Dot on there is like pretty much almost 100% perfect. So that's pretty close to a perfect score. I would say this is definitely going to get you through 18, and you can probably even play a few holes after that if you're going to do 36 with the boys. Really impressive there. Love that. There's still even parts of it that look new. You know, there's some parts that you can tell have been used, but when it looks new, you get it on a shiny side, it looks brand new. So that's really good. I love that. Maxfli did a great job with the durability. All right, so my thoughts. Where does this put Maxfli? You know, this is our final one. Overall, what does Maxfli have to offer? Well, when it comes to the Tour X CG, I would say that it is a golf ball definitely for the moderate to high to very high swing speed. I would say probably stick to about 90. I'm going to be safe and just say 95 and above. I think you're going to get some really fantastic results, especially off of, you know, the 7-iron. The driver was really good as well. I had mixed results with the hybrid, but it just depends. I think if you're someone who swings a little faster and maybe you hit a little more down on your hybrids, you could get some spin and you could get some air. It just depends. Or if you're someone who's hitting a 4-iron, you know, and you're not even using a hybrid, that might be pretty good too. You might end up getting a lot of spin just like I did with my 7. So I think that first of all, if you're under 95, I wouldn't even bother touching it just because it is firm, it is clicky, and on your wedges, you're going to end up losing. And if you're a high handicapper, most of the time you're only, you should be playing the white tees or you should be playing a more forward tee, so most of your approach shots are only about 100 yards or less anyway. So you're going to be using your wedges a lot, and it will mess with your game. You'll have to relearn how to use this golf ball because it will take, you know, yards off. I had the same issue with the Pro V1. You know, I gained some distance on my mid-irons, but the wedges just don't compress as well. It's a firmer golf ball. But I will say that if you're in the market for a tour golf ball as far as a budget-friendly one, if you are a mid-swinger or a high swinger, you can definitely check out either of these tour value balls. And I'm comfortable saying that just because of the price. Honestly, I mean, if you do two, you could do 2 dozen and get one of the X model, one of the regular model, try them both for yourself and see what you like, and it'd be $30 a dozen, and that's really tough to beat. The golf balls weren't perfect by any means. The X wasn't perfect, but it had some really good sides to it that hopefully I've shown you, and for the price, you really can't beat it to try it out. It's a really good price point there, and if it does turn out to be the golf ball you love, you're going to be saving a lot of money in the future for sure. And in fact, you know, they even offer this in a 4-pack. Where you can get 4 dozen, and I think usually it's like $104. So you can get them for $25 a dozen if you buy in bulk. You're not going to find a better deal than that, period, on a urethane tour ball. Good luck. You know, I've been doing this for a couple years, and that's probably the best value I've seen. As always, guys, keep watching to keep saving, keep learning. Until next time.